Today I want to do an in-depth exploration of the quad tape delay algorithm in the AXFX3 multi-tap delay block. I've talked about how much I love this multi-delay block. If you go and watch my AXFest clinic highlights, you can see me and Matt diving into this, setting up like faux Leslie sounds and really wide, spacious lead delays and like everything in between with it. But today we're going to look at the quad tape delay. Before we start, this is a YJM Strat going into the Blues Junior model. I think I've got a greenback IR on there. It sounds like this on the neck pickup. Sweet little clean tone there. So let's fire up this quad tape delay and hear it, and then we'll talk about the parameters, and I'll show you guys what I do to get it set up, and hopefully to inspire you guys to have a play around with this block, because I think it's one of the most musical and creative delay blocks in the AXFX3. So stock settings, it doesn't sound too dissimilar to any of the other multi-delay modes. The first thing I would do before doing any of this, I love to turn the high cut down on these. So let's go to 4K and we'll turn the low cut up to about 120 just to take out too much low end. This is what it sounds like. That kind of sits a little bit more where I would expect a sort of tape delay mode to sit. Anyway, let's look at some of the parameters. You notice straight away there's this motor speed parameter. We're going to talk about that one very soon. There are 4 independent, actually I don't know if they're independent, but there are 4 delay taps. That's a better way of saying it, each with their own feedback that we can control. There is a mix and filter section for the delay filters. We're not going to play around with this section too much. I'm going to do another video talking about the band delays block, where I think this applies a lot more and is a lot more interesting for that kind of thing. So you don't really have to worry about the frequency or the cue here, but this lets you pan the individual delays around and control their levels. That's of each tap, of course. And then there is a modulation section. There's a more section where we've got stuff like diffusion and the ducker and the filter LFO. Again, we don't have to talk about the filter LFO in this video. And then a master section where you can control the master time, feedback, pan, and the rate and the depth of the master time modulation, as well as some drive. One thing I like with tape delay algorithms is adding a little bit of drive, so we'll turn that guy up to about 4. That gives it just a little bit of grit, a little bit of stank going on in there. So the really powerful control here is the motor speed control. And this is going to act like, imagine you've got an old school tape echo and you press your like finger on the tape or something like that while it's playing back. What's going to happen with these old analog devices is that it's actually going to change the pitch while we're doing it. So if you just turn the motor speed down, and you're not playing, you might not notice it. You'll notice that your delays are longer. But it's like, so what? It just sounds like delay, but longer. What's the difference between that and the master section? Well, have a listen to this now. You can change the pitch. This is like old school pitch shifting, and it's very smooth and very natural sounding, and there's no like artifacting like you would expect. So the tape delay algorithm in the AXFX3, it's kind of like a secret weapon because it emulates all of that kind of stuff. One thing that I love to do is to attach an expression pedal to the motor speed. So let's go FC pedal number 1. We'll set the minimum value to 1, and then I'll set the maximum to 2, and this will let me double the tape speed. So what's going to happen, my delay repeats are going to be quicker, but anything that I play in there is going to get pitch shifted up an octave. which is awesome if you're into like 60s psychedelia or you're into like old school sci-fi noises. So that one's really, really fun. Another thing you could do is like attach an LFO to this. So for example, in this case, we want to emulate like sort of tape flutter and tape inconsistency. So what I would do is very subtly, like go 10% either side with this-ish. And whoa, don't do that. Yeah, let's do, say to about 0.99. I'll just dial it down. That'll do. And then what I'm going to do is go to the controllers section and I'm going to select a random LFO. So I've already done that. And now what you're going to hear is a little bit of this kind of like tape inconsistency. Which I think is really cool. Other units might call that like wow or flutter. There's also modulation if we want to add a bit of mod in there, you know, turn the rate up, turn the depth up. And it's like another level on top of this like authentic tape emulation. And of course we can dirty it up even more by using the drive. But I like it a little bit lower than that just so I can actually hear the repeats and not have it sound like they're totally bit crushed. So if we look at the individual times at stock settings, they are set to the tempo. But if you detach them from the tempo, I think you get far more, well, I shouldn't say that it's better or worse. I really do like the rhythmically synced delays. But if you want to sort of emulate old school echo units like, you know, the Space Echo or the Echo Rec or something like that, this is a really cool way to do it where you just use short delay times, like less than 500 milliseconds. So we'll start here with like 160, something 200-ish, something 300-ish, something 400-ish, something like that. And then we'll have a listen to what the individual feedback controls do. So it's cool, again, if you could probably delve right into this and get some Echo Rec style stuff going on. What I'll do is I'll turn the feedback up on delay 1. Delay 2. Delay 3. And then I would use the master feedback control to sort of tame it to where I like it. So that can get as controlled or as wild as you like. If I go back and use my expression pedal assignment, then we can really have a lot of fun with this. So I'll set the maximum, I'll go crazy, I'll set the minimum down to a half. So the difference between the minimum and the maximum speed is a ratio of 4 to 1. So there's going to be some pretty extreme pitch shifting going on here. I'm just going to just play for a little bit and you guys can hear the results. And you can make that as extreme or as subtle as you like. I want to show you now a preset that I made. I've called tape loops, and I'll break it down for you, same app. But basically there are 2 quad tape delays. The first one, as I push my heel down, it's going to set the ratio to be a fifth. So a fifth up, and then not my heel down, my toe down, fifth up. But the other one is going to do the opposite. So it's going to go down in the same ratio. Then I've got a looper set up. I've got another mono tape delay in here doing a similar thing. I think this is set for octaves. No, it's set for fifths. I'm going to set it for octaves. And then there's like a Plex reverb over here. So with this, you can do some really cool sound on sound, old school tape stuff, you know, Frippatronics inspired, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to play a little bit and I'll do some shifting with the expression pedal. So from those very humble beginnings and those relatively simple parameters, I know there's a lot of parameters, but hopefully I've made it pretty straightforward what they all do. You can put together patches like this and go absolutely nuts and be really creative with it. You know, if you didn't want fifths, if you wanted octaves, if you wanted these things to do totally different things with the motor speed, like one delay be synced up to tempo, the other one not be synced up to tempo, use the looper, use the monotape algorithm. There really are so many possibilities with this. And, you know, again, it's another case of like, just because you can do stuff doesn't mean you should do stuff. So one block like the multi-tap delay or two of them together is capable of reproducing like what racks of old equipment would have been able to do. You know, you think about being able to do this in a digital modeler 50 years ago when you needed like a big chunky tape machine just to do like one second loop is pretty amazing stuff. And, you know, I always say to people, it's like, is the Axe-Fx 3 worth it? And I mean, think about what an H3000 from Eventide cost back in 1989 when they came out. And you can cop most of those tones using just the multi-tap delay and the pitch block in the Axe-Fx 3. And, you know, H3000 still go for like thousands of dollars used. So when you look at it that way, this is such an inexpensive device for what it can do, where it can emulate really pristine digital effects, and it can also emulate all these cool old school echo kind of things and sound on sound techniques. And yeah, it's very, very exciting stuff. And the quad tape delay is fast becoming my new favorite thing and way to spend time making ambient music and looping and things like that. So I hope this deep dive was instructive and informative. I hope you learned some new things, and hopefully, I hope I've inspired you to go check out this block and to make some music with it and, yeah, do some musical explorations. If you liked the video, consider hitting subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.